Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. A fine Lawn Maintenance Tuesday to you and yours. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. You don't have to miss anything, but sometimes you do. It happens. You can. I understand. We're busy people. All 3 hours posted both on iTunes or in our audio vault, I should say. So that allows you to get caught up at your leisure. Limited commercial interruption. CarltonDean.com. Help it out there. You can email the show if you like. It's JCS at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. And on YouTube, ESPN Tallahassee. All right, so I can't lose my voice today. We got too much important work to do from this point forward throughout the rest of this day and, of course, the rest of the week. But it's a big checkmark day. I did the Sunrise Rotary early this morning, did Seminole Headlines. You'll get that starting at 5 this afternoon. Did the War Chant Report, which I always look forward to, too. And then we've got the Man Cave show tonight, Tom. We both do. That'll be fun. Good times over at the Seventh Hill Tap Room. So there's a whole hell of a lot of talk about Florida State, Alabama, college football in general. And for that, I am grateful. But it is a reminder about pacing yourself. It is a reminder of, hey, the season has started. You got to remember which are the tough days. And I could feel a little tinge when I did that opening. I thought, oh, no. It's not what we do here.
Man, you know, you're talking a hell of a lot more than I am today. But I can tell you that when I woke up, my throat was on fire. I thought, you've got to be kidding me. But I guess it was just one of those allergies / I don't know what, because a half an hour into the day, I'm A-okay.
You're good.
Yeah, I'm fine. How's the family doing? I feel like right now is a good time for just perspective, you know, to gather oneself, because the football craziness is, I mean, it's a tidal wave and it's upon us.
Well, I think the family's okay for what little I saw of them yesterday and today. They're all right. I gave hugs and kisses all the way around. I said, trust that your dad loves you. Next time you see him again, maybe 48 hours from now, but he does, so hang in there. So it's good. Well, it's that time. What's weird about the start of football season every year, especially once you have kids, is, you know, you're getting them acclimated back into school, and you have these meetings where you got to meet their teachers and you find out the curriculum and all the things you need to know. And I want to be a part of all that. But this is also the busiest time of year for us as we get set with our pregame show. New sponsors come on board that we're thankful to have, more responsibility, which is great. You know, we're doing the Scuttlebucks. We're doing all this other stuff now, too. And so, yeah, I got to get back to the organizational aspect of my life, which I'm terrible at. I'm awful at it. It's not a strong suit of mine.
But the good news is, for all of us, Jimbo Fisher is very organized, detail-oriented, meticulous.
I could use a lesson from him. For as long as I've been doing this, I should take account of what he's doing.
I did my annual walk. I do a walk around campus kind of before football season starts.
Right.
Get your mind right. It's a cathartic moment.
Wasn't a bad night to do it last night. Weather was nice.
It was all right, yeah.
Okay, wasn't perfect by any means, but it was all right.
Went by the sod cemetery, looked through some of the big wins over the years when I was an undergrad, and then games that we got to go cover ourselves.
I got a question for you, by the way, because I missed this, and I'm glad you got to do this. I'm envious. I like to do that, too, and I like to think back on all those years and look ahead to what this year has in store for us. But one of the things that was true of our move over to ESPN Radio was that, you know, we were over by campus, and I loved it. I love that aspect. We're no longer by campus, not even close. I also love this studio a lot more than I love that studio. But I liked being able to go outside in our old house in the All Saints District and hear the bands. I could hear Florida A&M's band, and I could hear Florida State's band. And the sound of just bands in general, and then that whiff of freshly shorn grass.
Yeah.
It was football. The atmosphere, you could feel it and sense it. It was great, and you could hear that off in the distance, and I loved it.
Yeah, last night walking by the IM fields, you know, there are kids who just got back on campus and they're playing sports, and that was cool. You get the good whiff of grass there. I walked by the fountain out between Hauser and Doe Campbell, which it's by the ticket office at Hauser. That's actually my favorite fountain on campus because you can look at the stadium, which is just majestic from that angle.
Oh, yeah.
And you see, the torches and then the clock. But then I walked by the football offices as well, went to Bowden Statue and looped around. This was around 9 o'clock last night. And there's Jimbo's car. No surprise. That car is probably parked there all week long.
Well, I think, for as much as we joke around about, hey, this is the time to get organized and here's how tired and blah, 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 blah. There's nobody more locked in right now than Jimbo Fisher. And Nick Saban, for that matter, I'm sure. Two peas in a pod, those two. And so much about what they love about the game and each other is that work ethic, I'm sure, and that attention to detail and just the preparation that goes into running a big-time college football program. And there's just no way – you would have to love that. You would have to love the grind, as they say. Really, really, really love the grind.
No, there was not another car in sight, especially in the row, because Jimbo parks in this little private row next to the service entrance, and it's his truck that he used when he and Chris Lowe, they were driving around town with ESPN. Yeah. But then I looked through the doors in the obviously UC University Center D.
And Jeff, and then I snuck into his office unbeknownst to him, and I watched film with him. He doesn't know it.
No, oh God, snooping over his shoulder. What's that? Duck down beneath his chair. Yeah. But it's quiet in there, and you can see the national championship trophies in the distance, and Winston's jersey, and Winky's jersey, and Ward's jersey.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about what's going on upstairs, in those offices. It's got to be, mayhem. It looks so quiet everywhere else, but I'm sure they are grinding at every bit of last-minute preparation, practice, reviewing, everything they can before this big weekend.
They would do it no matter who the opponent was, but there's no getting around the fact that it's Alabama. It's one of the very few teams Florida State will play, especially when you just go ahead and look at the schedule this week, where you would argue that, obviously Florida State doesn't have a distinct advantage in talent. So what you'll discover and what they'll find are things that they have to mask, areas where they don't think they have an advantage. There's not another game that they're going to play that for the most part, as they go through and check the boxes, that they won't be able to say they have an answer for that, or that they have the players to match up for that, or that they're better in this area and can exploit that. This would be that game. I think it's one of the many reasons we find it so intriguing, besides just the ranking and the pomp and circumstance, but the fact that there are elements of what Alabama does that Florida State is unable to do. And that's what comes with facing a team that has the best coach, maybe of all time in college football, a staff that goes on for days that nobody else can match. So all the advanced scouting, all that stuff aiding an already brilliant mind to go along with the resources and the money and the recruiting achievements. They're going to have things that really test not only your acumen for the game, which we don't really have to worry about. Some teams go, I'll tell you what, some teams go into games and you really wonder about whether or not their coach can match wits. I don't worry about that with Florida State. I think that's an important element of what Jimbo Fisher has brought to the table here at Florida State. He has, as a football mind, we do not worry about whether or not he sees what needs to be seen. For example, if you rooted for Illinois, you would ask that question every week. Is my head coach capable of matching wits with that of Purdue's? I'm not so certain. We don't have to worry about that question here.
What do I always say, guys? The cover two will do. Very good. Go out there.
So there's not that. But because he'll be dissecting all of those segments and all of those factors, he'll say, we got a problem here. We're going to have a problem here. And I know Nick, and he's going to test it because he's seeing it. He knows he has an advantage here. And Jimbo, will spend hours figuring out ways to mask that, figuring out ways to work around it, and how best to do that, and what personnel. And that's exciting, man. And it's got to be exciting for him, too, because it's the ultimate test. For both of them, it's the ultimate test. They know each other so well. Both have the athletes to do something about it. Both can present matchup problems. They can create, in certain cases, in isolation. They can do things to better their opportunities in the moments that, whether it's red zone, whether it's third and short, whatever, and I'm curious to see what those are and how they're implemented. And the adjustments made inside all of that. But that's what they're pouring over now, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of film.
Well, we talked about it yesterday, and it was something from last year, the daily confidence level and all that. But, to use a specific confidence metric, Jimbo Fisher and diagramming up a game plan, executing, implementing, being the play caller on the sidelines this weekend. I don't know that he's going to delegate to Randy Sanders for any drive this weekend. He might want to handle the reins.
He might, though. I don't know, because I do think, and by the way, I'm sorry, we're going off on so many tangents, but it's fun to do this week. And, Tom, I do think it might be best that at times he do that, because as a head coach, you have to be aware of everything that's happening. And in a game that is as emotionally charged as this one will be, got to keep a close eye on segments, close eye on kids in general. Somebody on the cusp there of maybe, overexerting themselves early, wasting their emotion and their efforts and their energy, or spending all of it too soon. And might you need to implore somebody to do something or reach down deep. Head coaches Jimbo's gotten a lot better. That Jimbo used to be buried. If you're watching on YouTube, Jimbo was buried in his playbook at all times in the early stages of his coaching career. It was a criticism I had, that he was too in love with the playbook in the next play to notice the thing that he needed to have a discussion about with his right guard or his quarterback whose emotions were frayed. It was always on to the next play, and my nose is in this playbook. He's better now than he's ever been at kind of setting that down to the side and going over and talking to the offensive line, going over and talking to his receivers.
Jimbo's not allowed to say execution because they're college athletes, but sometimes drawing up a good game plan can be, the players can fail you, in short. So with that said, and with that qualifier, how confident are you that Jimbo Fisher is going to draw up a good game plan for Saturday? That's different than wins, losses.
It's funny you bring it up.
Points on the board.
Last year, we asked, remember the talking points before the game against Michigan in the Orange Bowl, that time off hasn't been Florida State's friend before these games, that Jimbo's struggled when we've had too much time off, whether it's a national championship game or college football playoff game against Oregon, whether it's a first game of the year, that we've looked rusty. They go back to that Oklahoma State game in Dallas, and people were bringing up all these examples where time off, we looked flat. We didn't look composed. We didn't look like we could execute and play at the top of our game. And then the start of that Michigan game, which you knew at the very least you were facing a very well-coached team and a very good defense. And the offense came out and executed. Jimbo had something for that ass. It was immediate, right? Just boom, boom, boom. And we looked at each other, and everybody celebrated, and I think Florida State fans collectively breathed a sigh of relief. It was a good moment for Coach Fisher and his staff. I really believe that. So it kind of put those fears to rest to some degree. Game plan, to me, is not going to be the issue here. I think it will be readily apparent to Jimbo how to attack Alabama. Execution will be the issue. You're right. Coaches can't fall back on that because they're college athletes. It's about the hosses when you play Alabama. It's less about the X's and O's. It's more about the Jimmies and Joes. You're going to have to get players out here making plays against elite competition, whose guys are composed and ready to execute in a very intense situation against athletes that sometimes are not only their equal but best them. And you got to reach down deep. Those guys have got to be readily. To me, they got to be ready to fight. It's Alabama and Duke. I talk about Duke in basketball, Alabama in football all the time. The things that I admire most about those programs are their consistency. It's not just the consistency to win a lot of basketball games in the case of Coach K and Duke, and their recruiting prowess is obvious. And it's not just the consistency of Alabama with the talent that they bring in and the fact that they win a lot of games. It's that their intensity levels are always at this place, and you either come to match that. This is where the game begins. You got to get here. You get here, you can beat us. Alabama can be beaten. Duke is often beaten. It happens. But if you're not even willing to come up here at the start of this game, because those coaches have instilled that in their players, to me, that's the next big step for Jimbo Fisher and his staff. I mean that as a whole. I don't mean that just for this game against Alabama. There are too many games where Florida State does not play. If I had a criticism, that's it. Do not play at this upper echelon of intensity, this upper level that's seemingly the best programs in the country. I'm not saying you can't have an off day. It happens. College football, they're kids. But, man, that consistency of effort and intensity is something I admire about what Alabama does. I think Florida State will match that. I'm not worried about that. But getting there and then playing under control can be very difficult.
Well, if you're going to have to make plays, then that requires your quarterback's got to give your receivers some chances.
Sure.
Receivers. So let's say if we're defining terms here as we head into the weekend, now that you get actual real thoughts, the chess pieces are pretty much on the board now. If Francois throws, let's say, 2 or 3 interceptions, I know. First of all, probably not going to win.
Well, you lose the game if that happens, so don't go there.
I know, but if we're just I'm defining things.
Okay, all right.
And those interceptions are plays, 50-50 balls that he gives to a Keith Gavin or an Auden Tate.
And they don't make the plays.
And they don't make the play, and the corner
Fitzpatrick does or somebody. Yeah.
Can you hold that against the kid?
I guess it just depends on where those balls are thrown, man, because not all 50-50s are made the same. I mean, inside shoulder, outside shoulder, all that kind of thing.
I guess the point I'm driving at is at some point you're going to have to trust your players to go make plays on their own.
I'd like to trust Keith Gavin's big-ass body, right? I mean, he should be able to make those plays.
And one thing we saw at the open practice, and it was echoed from the people you talked to, the open practices, from the scrimmages, is that DeAndre is not afraid to do that. He's not
with
afraid
him for sure. No, right.
to turn the receivers loose. Let them go do something. Let them go make something happen. Well, if there's a game that screams it's going to be necessary to allow your playmakers to go make something happen, this is the one. You've got to get the ball out of your hand if you're under pressure and go let Keith Gavin do what Keith Gavin was born to do.
Or Nooney Murray down the field. He's a playmaker, ready to shine. Got to take on that responsibility, win some of those battles against the best secondary or best players that you're going to face. I think your best athletes, especially those at skill positions, relish the opportunity in games like this. And Nooney Murray doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to have a hard time getting locked in and focused for a game like this. Where we worry about Nooney is when he's not getting the ball against NC State or not getting the ball against Miami or not getting the ball against somebody else and he kind of takes a play or a series off. Alabama has your undivided attention. And everybody knows that if you're looking to put on film to get drafted high in the NFL, what you do against marquee defenders in big moments with the world watching is the kind of film that can make the difference for you being a first-round pick or a second- or third-round pick. So I don't believe that focus, that effort, that intensity is going to be lacking for either side because they know they're going against some of the best athletes they're going to see maybe all year long, probably all year long. There are circumstances where we're playing some pretty good defensive lines, so some of the offensive linemen might be facing a better defensive tackle or defensive end in some other games. But Florida State's receivers going against Alabama's secondary and vice versa, I don't think there's any question. Best foot forward.
No, there was one thing that, Jameis, a lot of the critics of Jameis Winston and his college career when they were trying to project him anywhere but number one in the NFL draft, they said, well, he would just throw it up to Kelvin Benjamin.
You better.
A couple of things about that. A, yes, you better do that. He only had him for 1 year. That's B. And C, you've got to go let your players go make plays. That's a facet of being a good quarterback. If you know you've got weapons,
if you got a beast, you got to let him make a play. Yeah.
If Bobo Wilson is running a fly route, he's running a 9. You're not going to throw him a jump ball. You know what I mean? That's not managing the talent around you. This receiving core demands that DeAndre Francois take chances and let those guys make plays. But my point was, if he throws a couple of picks because he's doing that, the process isn't flawed in that situation.
No,
you got to go let those
yeah.
guys win the game for you.
Well, I do believe it's a great talking point for the season as a whole, not just Saturday night, but Florida State's receiving core is far more dynamic going into this season than they've been, certainly than they were last year. How many things had to go right last year on any particular pass play for Florida State to execute? First of all, the window to throw it in, and I'm talking about catch radius, was very, very small for Florida State. So Francois, who has some accuracy issues, is having to throw to little guys, as I called them inappropriately, I'm sure, midgets, time and again. Well, that was annoying. That's not ideal. You've got guys now whose catch radius is greater and whose playmaking ability is better. It's a double whammy and something that I am very eager to see play out. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford. The place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Is locally owned and features the best deli meats, cheeses, breads, and ingredients in the city. Enjoy daily specials and soups, salads and wraps. There's something for everyone. Metro Deli offers online ordering for pickup or delivery and will cater your office breakfast or lunch too. Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot is Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com. That's MetroDeliTally.com.
Hendrick.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your savings. Race into Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC for the best selection and service in Tallahassee. Get incredible discounts on racetrack-worthy vehicles, like $10,000 off select new Buicks and GMCs. We are professional grade. And that's not all. We've got a huge used car inventory, so you can find a quality pre-owned vehicle to fit any budget. We even offer low payments and exceptional offers like 0% APR financing. Hassle? No way. Haggle? Never. At Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC, you'll deal with people you know, like, and trust, and get the honest, friendly service you deserve. That's why our customers will tell you there's no better car buying experience in town. Visit us today at 1850 Capitol Circle Northeast or online at DaleJr.BuickGMC.com. And remember, you too can be a Hendrick driver.
Fire up the grills for another season of Seminole football.
2nd and 3, patient, then explosive, and a touchdown for the Noles.
It's Tallahassee Game Day, your ESPN Tallahassee pregame show featuring Jeff Cameron and Tom Lang.
Yeah, I like them.
Get the latest news, interviews, and insights 3 hours ahead of kickoff before the Noles defend home turf.
Hey, on Saturday, we're going to play a game. We're going to most likely win that game, and we're going to celebrate on Sunday.
Tallahassee Game Day is brought to you by Whole Foods Market, a leader in natural and organic food that brings the highest quality of local and global products to Tallahassee. Whole Foods Market, located at 1817 Thomasville Road, and presented by MMT Clinics of Florida. Visit MMTCFL.com.
To the pylon! That's a Seminoles touchdown!
Pop quiz. What's the most important part of a ship? Don't answer. It's the crow's nest. Know why? Complete visibility. I can see what's on the horizon and my crew pulling the ship together on the deck below. That's how I run this ship, and that's why we use Grainger. Grainger helps us keep a clear eye on our inventory, saving us time, saving us money, and helping keep everything ship shape. It's always smooth sailing with Grainger. Call clickgrainger.com or stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank.
You're damn right.
Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. You're listening to The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Winston and every other young, talented, up-and-coming quarterback in the league dropped their pants last night in celebration of Matthew Stafford's contract. Man.
Ball's free.
Indeed. If you're young and decent, let alone good, at playing the quarterback position right now in the league, and you read the details on Matthew Stafford's contract, you go, my God, am I going to be rich?
Ball's free.
They are. I know it always gets skewed because somebody has to be the highest paid player at their position, and whenever it's their time for their contract to come up, if in fact they sign a new deal, they instantly vault into that position. And you would say, but he's not the best quarterback. Why is he paid like it? Well, that's a timing. That's a mechanism of timing more than it is, a meritocracy. That's not one of those things where they say, oh, well, I'm identifying, or Detroit's identifying him as that. No, they just identify him as a franchise quarterback. Now, what you take issue with, and what most people take issue with, is sort of this blanket 5-46 against teams with a winning record in his career, which is damn sorry. But he inherited a franchise, where he went to a franchise that was the worst in NFL history, literally, the worst in NFL history at the time that he got there. So the first 5 years of his career were spent on a team that were as sorry as this league's ever seen. And you were going to lose anytime you played against anybody who's any good at all. 5-46 is excessive, but, and here's the weird thing about Matthew Stafford, who makes lots of mistakes and also lots of plays, its yards per completion is unbelievable because he has a cannon for an arm and takes chances down the field in the way you want a franchise quarterback to play. So there's a lot of good mixed in with a whole lot of that bad. Is he one of the best 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the league? I don't think so. Is he terrible, as that record and some of the other dubious numbers that you'll throw out there suggest? No, I don't think he's terrible either.
No, if you think about the management structure of the Detroit Lions franchise, it's been bad ever since he's been there. Calvin Johnson could still be playing. He decided not to because he didn't like the way the management operated. Calvin Johnson helps Matthew Stafford's numbers through the years, his yardage totals and touchdown totals. But at the same time, that offensive line, it's been bad forever and a day. That red zone offense has been sorry. As a fantasy football player, I can at least bring that to the equation. And they don't really run the football. If they're in a 3rd and 2 and they need to convert, they're not running the football. They never have. But the guy is tough, and you can't afford to let him walk. So
that's the bigger aspect of this. They can't afford. There's not a better option for them, which is really more of a testament to how difficult it is to find a franchise quarterback, and how if you've got one that's even on the lower end of that label, lower spectrum, you still invest in them and hope to build around them. Also, they have had a slew of really sorry-ass coaches. Whether you go back to the Schwartz years or Caldwell or all, I mean, think about it now. Schwartz and Caldwell, I mean, that's what the hell are we doing here? That ain't a great era.
Well, you're not winning. And the thing was, they actually, what rules controversy was it in Dallas? They got screwed out of a playoff win, too.
Yeah, I was looking back at some numbers. A lot of people have put together and a write-up on Stafford post-contract signing. Depending on what you're trying to find, if you're going to make the case against him, you've got ample numbers to do it. If you're going to make a case for him, you don't have as many, but there are some key numbers that you would point to. I would say, too, in those early years where they struggled, maybe the midway point of Stafford's career, you would see that they lost a good bit of those games by a touchdown or less. And if you looked at the personnel around him, you might say that was the byproduct of him keeping them in games.
Yeah. Oh, no, I think you can say that.
You know what I mean? So
the guy has got an extra gear than your average NFL quarterback.
A whole lot of giddy up on that throw, sure.
I just mean in terms of toughness, too. He's a tough player. He's got skill. And in this day and age, you know what it looks like, the teams that don't have quarterbacks. If Stafford's got the ball in the final 2 minutes of a game and it's a 4-point game, you're watching that finish because you think he can go win it. That tells you.
I think the first thing you said was the most important. They've not had any consistency in running the football. They haven't given him the help of a running game whatsoever. And I think guys that are dynamic, that fit balls into tight windows and take chances down the field, obviously give teams opportunities. The numbers get skewed because they have to force the issue. They have not a lot to rely on or fall back to, except for their arm. It will be interesting to see if they ever put together some consistency of a ground game. And ultimately, how does this relate to what's going on in Tampa? Well, Jameis proved, as do a lot of young quarterbacks early in their careers, if they have immense talent and they can read a defense and they're quick on their feet, they make anticipatory throws, those kinds of things. They can wow you early without having maybe the numbers that jump off the page and or the requisite success on the field in the win column, but they show you they're worthy of the investment. That's fine, but from there, you better go out and get help. You've got to create some level of balance, some form of help beyond just a guy's acumen for the game and hand talent. You've got to find a way to not put the whole game on him. And we've seen that with a lot of great quarterbacks over the years. So Stafford hasn't had a good run game, not with any consistency. And what you hope is happening in Tampa Bay as they go get the weapons to throw the ball to, that they also find consistency in the ground game.
Yeah, I was just looking up Winston's first 2 years in the pros to see what not his record is yet, but how many wins he has over teams with better than 500 records. He's got 3 through 2 seasons. He had 0 in 2015, but then he had 3 last year. Atlanta in week 1, then they beat Seattle, and they beat Kansas City on the road. So those are his first 3 wins over teams with a better record than 500. He's got a few more years to cover Matthew Stafford's career to this point.
Well, he'll catch that easily since he's 2 away. After just 2 years. I mean, sweet Jesus. But again, that is hard to overcome when you say it out loud.
I mean, yes.
He's 2 wins away from tying Matthew Stafford's record against winning teams or wins against winning teams.
Yeah, you think about how bad we were 2 years ago, and then last year to go 9-7. Yeah, and 3 of those wins. I mean, Kansas City won a division, Seattle won a division.
You go from a 2-win team
Atlanta
to a 6-win team to a 9-win team. So he gets there the year after they win 2 games. They immediately win 6, and then they win 9. There's just not a lot of argument here. It's just he's trending in a very good way,
Cha-ching.
Which is what I get back to. Frankly, he's going to get paid. Mariota will likely get paid pretty well because he's shown enough for them to trust him. I mean, you're going to look at a number of guys that are – listen – Kirk Cousins, the one that's dancing up and down now. I mean, he's the guy that is looking at Stafford going, oh, well, I can match those numbers. He's been betting on himself for some time now, and that's hard to believe that Cousins is going to be that guy who makes even more than that, and he will.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin
596.
Barry knows cool, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows cool, you can put him to the test.
Don't let Tallahassee's hot summers get you down. Barano Heating and Air Conditioning can help in case of a breakdown, day or night. Their certified technicians can get you up and running in no time. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Call 580-4029 or visit baranoac.com. Florida license number CAC 057652.
Brent, this month's topic is classic song lyrics. You ready?
Ready as I'll ever be.
Here's a lyric. American history, practical math. You study them hard and hoping to pass.
It's from School Days by the great Chuck Berry. He wrote and recorded so many great hits.
You mean like TNT Supercenter sells and services so many top golf cart brands with an enormous selection all under one roof?
TNT Supercenter customers can compare the top golf cart brands side by side. Club Car, Yamaha, Star EV, and the ultimate hunting vehicle to beat. TNT Supercenter has the largest selection of carts in the area. Pre-owned cars starting at just $19.99. New carts with a 4-year warranty starting at just $49.99. And at TNT, our service center and service technicians are trained, certified, and authorized for every brand we sell.
And there's plenty of parts and accessories too, right?
Our parts inventory is huge, and we'll dress up your existing cart with a full line of Mad Jack's premium accessory products like seat kits, light kits, lift kits, and now for a limited time, save 20% on all Mad Jack's parts and accessories.
TNT Supercenter, US 19 South, next to Dairy Queen in Thomasville, and online at TNTSupercenter.com.
Do you like video games, live music, dancing, and having fun with your friends? Swing by the new Fire Betty's, located in Midtown on Thomasville Road and 5th Avenue. Not only can you quench your thirst, but now Fire Betty's offers a new fun food menu as well. Open Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. There's something fun going on every night. From trivia on Wednesdays to live music on Fridays, hospitality nights on Thursdays, and unique music video DJ Saturdays. Come take a trip down memory lane and make some new ones too. Happy hour at Fire Betty's is Tuesday through Saturday from 5 to 8 p.m. And don't forget about Sunday Fun Day with the NFL Red Zone, liquid brunch and drink specials all day, starting at 3 p.m. For catering or private parties, message Fire Betty's on Facebook.
Attention all business owners, it's here. 97.9 ESPN Radio has developed the Triple Play, Tallahassee's most effective advertising campaign. The Triple Play combines radio, TV, and the internet, and it's brought to you only by Tallahassee's #1 sports station.
Hi, I'm Travis Kelly, account executive here at 97.9 ESPN Radio. Call me at 561-8400 right now to find out more about the Triple Play advertising campaign and begin growing your business. It's football season. Everybody's listening. Call me, Travis Kelly, at 561-8400 to partner your business with Tallahassee Sports Monster.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. The appeal hearing of the 6-game suspension of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott taking place today. Elliott suspended for violating the personal conduct policy in an alleged domestic violence incident involving his ex-girlfriend. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, again voicing his support for Elliott, told 105.3 The Fan the situation's complicated because the NFL has no evidence of any wrongdoing by Elliott. Colts Pro Bowl cornerback Vontae Davis is week to week with a significant groin injury. Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco's started throwing and is getting back into football activity. He hasn't practiced at training camp or played in a preseason game due to a back injury. The Ravens have repeatedly insisted Flacco will be ready for the season opener on September 10th against the Bengals. A tsunami of negativity from fans and media in the United States. One of the main reasons the CFL's Hamilton Tiger Cats reversed a decision to hire former Baylor football coach Art Briles, according to Hamilton's CEO. Briles was fired last year by Baylor after an investigation into allegations of sexual assault by students, including some football players.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports, in a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio, at J. Cameron Show. Rewatching Bama, seeing a lot of batted passes between the national championship game and LSU, writes David. Might spell trouble against our defensive ends that are 6'6". Well, Jalen Hurts is not a tall, stand in the pocket, see over his offensive line, read a defense quarterback. That's not who he is. You're right. It could very well spell trouble. It could be an aspect of the game that Florida State has an advantage in.
But this also goes back to, what are you telling your defensive ends to do? Down in and down out. If you're not bringing extra pressure, what exactly are you asking your ends to do?
They got to contain and keep him from breaking the pocket and using his legs, but get your hands up.
So then, they're staying right there at the edge. They're trying to create a shell of a pocket, and then they know first movement, they're going to get their hands up. Hell, it might be in their chest with as much as they throw near the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I do think Florida State's best bet by far to win this game is to take away all the short stuff. Make the kid throw a lot of balls downfield and beat you with accuracy and beat you with the deep ball. And if he does it, then, to off your cap, they'll win the national championship. He's going to make that step. If he's going to take that step forward, then you're all screwed.
Could it be that a talking point is for Alabama, 4-6 weeks from now, that perhaps losing an all-star offensive coordinator hurts year to year? Because Nick Saban isn't an offensive...
They do it every year, though. They just their fourth one.
It is, but they've had Lane for a while now. And, sure.
He was unhappy with Lane.
I think that's him trying to elevate somebody who is a Mensa and just gets in his own way by being an ass.
It might be, but he's had success every offensive coordinator he's had. They've had success. I don't know. I think he wants to run more elements of what they did a few years back and less of that spread. But you're right, by the way. This wouldn't be the guy to do it with necessarily. At least not according to the statistics from a year ago. I keep reminding myself that, it's awfully not unfair necessarily. You can point out the numbers are the numbers, but it's hard to gauge then how much better he is now than he was a year ago, because allowing for that improvement is something that we're doing for DeAndre Francois, who I think is a better passer anyhow. But, he was a true freshman last year, was Jalen Hurts. And Hurts is a guy that only completed 52% of his passes beyond 10 yards downfield last year. So when forced to throw the ball down the field, he wasn't consistent or accurate. If you go back to the second half of the game against Clemson, they couldn't convert on third down because he couldn't make throws. Some of them standard throws that anybody who's halfway decent in the pocket should be able to make.
Well, and beyond that, reads too. Throws are one thing, but then there's also the reads. And I can remember, the mega cast. That's the great thing about watching that.
Where they miss guys. Yeah, it's unbelievable. O.J. Howard too was such a weapon for them, and he's gone. And I get that I am the one that's been beating the drum about, hey, listen, I know they lost people. I know that they're missing 11 starters from last year's team total. I get it. That means something, and it's not to say it won't mean something here. I have argued that it won't mean as much as it does with other teams. If any other team in the country loses 11 starters combined, 6 on defense and 5 on offense, or vice versa, whichever one it is, I can't remember now, that's a big damn deal. But I will say that if you can pinpoint an area where losing a starter is going to hurt you and it's going to be hard to replace no matter how talented the backup is, it would be O.J. Howard. That's a difference maker. There aren't too many teams rolling out in college football with that guy.
No, exactly. And what are the Bucs raving about right now?
Right.
It's about his run blocking skills too.
Yeah.
He augments the running game as much, if not more, than he does the passing game. And that's the value of having a player as elite as that player is some teams you dictate by your substitutions what the likelihood of the play is going to be. You have a tight end that specializes in run blocking. You have a tight end who's a glorified pass catcher, but he's bigger, so you might line him up on the end of the line of scrimmage, but he's not that great at blocking. O.J. Howard was a man's man at blocking. So, you don't just lose him as somebody that a safety has to pay attention to or a slot defender. You lose him as somebody that an edge rusher has to pay attention to or a linebacker in run support.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, you're talking about losing superstar players. Yeah, O.J. Howard is a superstar in more ways than one. He's going to be on the field a bunch for the Buccaneers this season because they love what he brings to the table in blocking for the run.
Yeah, I think there are a couple of guys that you look at from last year's Bama team, Cam Robinson being one of them. Left tackle. That losing those players, even if you have talent waiting in the wings, you got to figure will have an effect on them. Do we have enough to take advantage of it? In some areas, I think yes. In some others, maybe not. We'll see. My big question mark is, look, I understand you lose 2 starters on the offensive line. You got an all-world center returning for Alabama, and you've got that's the area that frustrates me more than any other because it's the area Florida State can't get right. Alabama every year loses NFL talent on their offensive line to the league, and they replace it. And they replace it with guys that you go, well, who's that big son of a bitch dominating? That's an area they do it all the time. Drives me batty. They're one of the few that can do it. And it's, I will also say, it's interesting, the comparisons. Maybe more than any other area, Tom, that's the one that Alabama has the advantage in. I don't think I'm taking too big a leap forward. I'm not talking about in the matchup, their line against our defensive line. I'm talking about against the norms of college football. That ability to lose first and second round draft picks on the offensive line, not just a starter with a lot of experience, but quality, high-end quality, star power offensive linemen to the league constantly, only to reload and have one of the best running games in the country every year, no matter who their offensive coordinator is, every year. That's where Bama's elite level of recruiting is so frustrating.
Yeah, not even Ohio State, right?
No, nobody does it. Nobody like they do in that way. And that's the advantage of having the kind of recruiting classes they do year in and year out. And other areas teams match. Florida State can match in a lot of ways at running back. Florida State's had a slew of talented running backs. For all of the great running backs that have played at Alabama, and they have been great, Florida State's had a ton of them too. You look back there and you go, man, one after the other, whether it's Dalvin or Devonta, you on down the list of kids that have come in here and played great at that position. You'll see it in the secondary. Florida State matches with anybody. They've got a ton of secondary talent. At quarterback, Florida State is churning them out one after the other to the league and playing really well as college football players.
I'd argue defensive line too, even though Alabama, has a different level of success consistently year in, year out. You look at the edge rushers we produced year in and year out, defensive interior. I mean, Noddy's hurt last year to start the season, but he was the next in line, Goldman and Jernigan before him. There's a lot of guys that we produced in the interior and on the edges, and we continue to produce people that Brad Lawing raves about as true freshmen every single year. So, Yeah,
I will say this, though. I need Josh Sweat to really have a year now. He's been wildly inconsistent. Now, that could very well be the trouble with the knee. First of all, the fact that he even took the field as quickly as he did after the devastating knee injury in high school is kind of you'd almost say a minor miracle, a medical miracle. It's unbelievable that he was able to do that. But the guy that I think we projected as a first-round draft pick when he was first signed, right? The athleticism, the size and all of that he brought to the table, that you projected the way that Lawing projected immediately that he would have an impact. We haven't seen that guy yet, right? We've seen him in spurts.
Yeah, just the tail end of last season.
Yeah.
He came alive the last, handful of games?
Very much so.
And it gave you hope. We were talking about at the end of the season, okay, well, who's that? Because we sure could use him next year with DeMarcus coming off the books,
Yeah, so we just haven't really been able to find the guy or the guy that we thought we were going to get. He may end up having that year this year. It is a money year. He's talking very confidently right now, and he feels healthier than he's ever been. He said that to me directly in an interview that I did with him basically 2 weeks ago tomorrow. So I really feel like I'm excited to see his play. What a test right off the bat.
Well, the depth there, he was raving about Kando last night to the beat reporters too. I mean, it's just amazing. It does seem to be a factory of late the last 2-3 seasons. Because DeMarcus Walker was the forgotten man. When Long first got here, he was talking about Josh Sweat and not really talking about Walker all that much. And that led to, the heartstrings being pulled later on in the season. I remember Tim Linnefelt being interviewed by the Front Row Knowles guys. And he said, to Coach Long and the defensive staff, thank you for not giving up on me, because there's turnover. And a lot of times when new coaches come in, they want to trust their types of players.
That's right, yeah.
Not the ones that are existing there, that are upperclassmen. And look at what he turned into. And now that you have Sweat and then Burns last year as a freshman, 9.5 sacks and couldn't be stopped in spurts of games. As small as he was, you could tell the speed was there. The instincts for the game were there. I mean, they've got a lot of complementary pieces in that segment this year. I mean, Pugh is somebody that Jimbo raved about in spring into fall, but he really a lot in spring. And then you got Jalen Wilkerson to help against the run if you really need to stack up against a team that wants to run power against you. And you combine that with a Sweat and a Burns and a Kane-Do. I mean, damn, yeah, out of those 5 players, you should get a collective production, something close to what we saw last year with DeMarcus Walker, who was a stat machine.
I think if you look at the strengths of this Florida State team, we will continually fall back on this defense and go back to how dynamic, how diverse, and how deep this team is on defense. If Florida State's going to win this game and win the vast majority, if not all, of their games this season, and that is a tall task with this schedule, it's going to be because of how talented and how deep they are on defense. Sure, upgrade at wide receiver and explosiveness, big plays down the field, it's all possible. DeAndre Francois takes a step forward and not only proves his toughness, but his accuracy and his overall command of the offense this year. Stops holding the ball too long, those kinds of things. Running back stables are able more than adequately make up for the loss of a superstar in Dalvin Cook. Izzo's an NFL tight end, and you got him as a weapon that we often overlook. All of those are great things, but, man, it's the defense. It's 91 tackles as a freshman, Derwin James, who you can place anywhere on the field that changes the game. You're going to play him at star in this game a lot. You're going to put him up close to the line of scrimmage and help him blow up Alabama's running game. He plays with a nastiness and a tenacity that is Jalen Ramsey-esque, only he's bigger and stronger. I think that when they lost him, they lost a ton last year, which is an understatement perhaps, but I think you'll notice it even more when we watch him line up in this game Saturday night against the best competition you can face anywhere in all of college football. His name will stand out amongst all the players on the field, Alabama's and Florida State's. That's how good he is. And that defense, if Florida State wins, will be the reason, because they'll slow down the run game and they'll take away the short stuff of Alabama in the passing game and make that kid stay in the pocket and throw the football. And if Florida State does that, I'll be wrong in my prediction that Alabama wins this game, and I'll be wrong about what's possible. I'll tell you then at that point Florida State could very well win the national championship. Hour number 2 forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC. You'll deal with people you know, like, and trust, and get the honest, friendly service you deserve. That's why our customers will tell you there's no better car buying experience in town. Visit us today at 1850 Capitol Circle Northeast or online at DaleJr.BuickGMC.com. And remember, you too can be a Hendrick driver.
Seminole Headlines, presented by Capital City Bank. You're damn right. Catch Jeff Corey and Ira each Tuesday night from 5 to 7 p.m. right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
College football programs know the importance of recruiting. If they want to compete at the highest level, they need to bring on the best talent, people who have the skills and drive to be a success. The same is true in business. Recruiting is vital. And with ZipRecruiter, you'll have a smarter and simpler way to assemble your own winning team. With just one click, you can post your job to over 100 job boards. Then ZipRecruiter's matching technology identifies relevant talent fast. 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within 24 hours. And your ZipRecruiter dashboard helps keep everything in one place, so it's easy to review and rank the candidates with the best experience. You'll be building a powerhouse program in no time. Choose the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter, official hiring partner of the Florida State Seminoles.
For your free trial, go to ZipRecruiter.com/GoNoles. ZipRecruiter.com/GoNoles. Once again, for a free trial, go to ZipRecruiter.com/GoNoles.
If it's time to top off, flush, or refill your cooling system, stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts for O'Reilly Universal Premixed Antifreeze, specially priced at $9.99 a gallon. Protect your engine with O'Reilly Universal Premixed Antifreeze, $9.99 a gallon at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limits apply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Nole fans, ESPN Tallahassee's official home for FSU watch parties in 2017 is Miller's Ale House on Appalachia Parkway.
Francois to throw for the end zone. It is caught. Touchdown. Seminoles are going for the win.
The ESPN Tallahassee team will be on hand for every Seminole away football game with giveaways, a chance to win some great prizes, and to have a good time.
To the pylon. He's into the end zone for an FSU touchdown.
So, when the Noles hit the road, join us at Miller's Ale House on the Parkway, the official FSU watch party headquarters of your home of the best in Seminole sports talk. 97.9 ESPN Radio, Tallahassee Sports Authority.
The big game is almost here, but you can't afford to go because ticket prices are through the roof. Don't worry, we got your back. Anytix.com offers you the lowest price tickets, guaranteed. Anytix.com doesn't mark up tickets. Anytix.com has zero. That's right, no buyer, seller, or service fees. For a small monthly fee of $9.99, you get access to all their wholesale tickets. Go to Anytix.com today. That's Anytix, Tixx. Enter the coupon code ESPN Tally and get 20% off your subscription. Anytix.com, changing the way you buy tickets.
Broadcasting live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios. This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. The appeal hearing of the 6-game suspension of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott taking place today. Elliott suspended for violating the personal conduct policy in an alleged domestic violence incident involving his ex-girlfriend. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, again voicing his support for Elliott, told 105.3 The Fan the situation's complicated because the NFL has no evidence of any wrongdoing by Elliott. Colts Pro Bowl cornerback Vontae Davis is week to week with a significant groin injury. Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco's started throwing and is getting back into football activity. He hasn't practiced at training camp or played in a preseason game due to a back injury. The Ravens have repeatedly insisted Flacco will be ready for the season opener on September 10th against the Bengals. A tsunami of negativity from fans and media in the United States. One of the main reasons the CFL's Hamilton Tiger Cats reversed a decision to hire former Baylor football coach Art Briles, according to Hamilton's CEO. Briles was fired last year by Baylor after an investigation into allegations of sexual assault by students, including some football players.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports. In a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks so much for tuning to it. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live. Yeah, the streaming free always. Don't miss anything. But if you do, you're all right. All 3 hours going to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. Email the program if you like. It's JCS at 979ESPNRadio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameron Show. WTSM app for your mobile devices. We're on YouTube as well. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube is a good thing. Somebody used a GIF from The Professional, which I absolutely love. Makes me laugh. They sent it to me right before we were about to go back on, and now I'm sitting here chuckling before. There's a lot I lament about technology turning our brains into goo and not having to remember anything and feeling the constant impact, the barrage of imagery and stimulation and the inability to sit and think on your own for 30 minutes at a time and all these things that I prattle on about. But GIFs aren't one of them because they kick ass. They make me laugh. And there are creative people in the world who utilize that little piece of technology to express themselves in a wondrous way. And I like it. I don't complain about those. Those are fantastic.
Yeah, it proves that creativity is not dead.
Oh, no. Well, especially when it's only a couple of clicks and a knowledge or an in-depth knowledge of, say, pop culture. You can go a long way in expressing any number of things, remorse, doubt, happiness, whatever it is, like that in a GIF.
Yeah, in the old days, it was the guy who, quoted all the movies. The guy just knows every movie quote for every particular situation.
Annoyingly so, yeah.
Well, not that guy from the commercial who's, there's an art to it. You can do it and still be funny.
No. Well, right. But it's basically how Bill, what's-his-face got big. The writer.
Lumberg?
No.
Just kidding. It's Office Space.
Simmons, right? That's how he got
Oh,
it.
jeez.
That's all he was is a pop culture reference incessantly. That's what that was. You know what I'm doing, though? I don't know why Tuesday is the day where it happens, but everybody's, week 1 is arriving. Here are our projections for the entirety of the season. And I think it's interesting. So many people have Florida State losing this first game and then noting that they'll be in the playoff. And it's kind of an off-season spent wondering what this game means. And wrestling with what this game means on a almost daily basis these days. In fact, I'm going to talk about it next segment some, but it's kind of a fun idea. But again, you just assume not pencil in that loss. Let's just go forward with a win. I know this is a Jimbo Fisher. This is he hasn't talked much to the media lately. When he has, he's been very subdued. I was asked this morning. In an event that I spoke at the Sunrise Rotary, who Jimbo hasn't been as maybe dogged or intense when talking about this team as he was a year ago or even the year before that or most years. What do you take that to mean? I don't know. I'll say it again. I said it to you yesterday. If we utilize what we learned from last year where Jimbo literally was telling everybody the truth, and we thought he was using it as a motivational ploy, and in retrospect, he turned out to be right, well, then I think he likes this team. If he's just going to be straightforward with us and tell us what he thinks, and he's going to be subdued as he's been, then it means that he likes this group.
Yeah, if this team were a person, they'd be my best friend.
I don't know about that. That 2013 team would be his best friend.
Well, he said it about a subsequent team. I forget which one it was. Maybe it was 2015. Just because
did he ever call him his best friend?
No, he said they'd be my friend.
They'd be my friend. I'd like to sit down and talk with him.
Yeah, I'd do the best in there.
But some of his teams he hasn't wanted to be friends with. He hasn't enjoyed that.
See, year of last? Yeah, absolutely.
That's a terrible neighbor. I hate him.
There's always litter all over the lawn.
He doesn't water it. No, it's just,
party until 2 o'clock in the morning.
He didn't like that friend. He wasn't a big fan. It made me laugh.
Because he sees that neighbor walk over to his trash can and throw an empty beer bottle or two in there before trash day. Why don't you buy your own trash can?
So Chief writes to me, my man at Jay Cameron Show calls it GIF instead of GIF. And it is a GIF. The inventor of it said as much.
Yeah, the inventor of the file type calls it a GIF.
Yes.
End of story.
Yeah. So, that's it. We're done talking here. people feel the need, but they're wrong.
I don't know. Maybe you should tell your problems and your objections to Goffrey the Graph from Toys R Us. Maybe go to the gymnasium, you know? I'm sorry, that's not germane to this discussion.
By the way, this was already worked out ages ago once this argument came up when GIFs became so popular. This has all been something that's worked out. We're not going down that road. Not on game week. We don't go down that road on game week.
It's getting to the silly part of game week.
Nobody's got time for all that nonsense. It's game week.
Will Matthew Thomas suit up on Saturday?
You know what? I swear, we talk about Matthew Thomas like he's been real good. Can we stop doing that? He has played so sparingly, and half the time he's played, he kind of sucked. So, he had his moments in the second half of last season, and that's why we were inspired and excited, and I sure hope that version of Matthew Thomas plays in all the games this year. That'd be great. But, man, are we hung up on a kid and whether or not he's going to play who's been nothing short of average or absent. So, I don't, I get it. It would be nice to have his experience in a game like this. His talent has been on display, not consistently, but it has been on display. We know what a top-end Matthew Thomas looks like when he's playing at his best. I also know that Matthew Thomas takes in his time, not really caring all that much to take on a block, looks like, and one who's not there for his teammates over the course of the better part of 2 years.
More than that, no.
I mean, I get it. I'd rather have him than not have him, and it's not a personal attack. But it's not like, man, you get a load of that Derek Brooks. I wish we could find him on the field consistently. I mean, he's a difference maker. Yes, Derek was. Many other linebackers have been indeed. This guy ain't been one of them. Let's not do that. I get an email every 5 minutes about whether or not Matthew Thomas is going to play, and I would like to know that too. And the secrecy behind all this is annoying, without question. And we could take issue with all of that. That's fine. He hasn't been a dominant player. He hasn't been a difference maker.
But you feel much more, I'd say, significantly more comfortable with him on the field than a backup, right?
Sure. Just because Emmett doesn't have a lot of experience and he's undersized.
And Dontavius is hurt.
Right. So I agree. But I don't feel like we're missing, all of a sudden, gosh, no Andre Wadsworth this week. I mean, I know he was an end. That's not the guy that's been missing, that's been in and out of the lineup. He hasn't been some superstar player that, gosh, can we please start a game where he's in the line? It hasn't been that. There have been days you watch Florida State play and you're not even sure he's on the field.
Yeah, personally, the bigger concern is what we talked about yesterday, a thing that nobody likes to talk about. How are the kickers going to play? We're going to punt the ball with consistency? We're going to be able to make a 44-yard field goal? Ooh, in the third quarter? Might need it. Could you make it? Lining up, he's on the left hash, Jeff. Is he going to make it from 44 yards out? What you got? That's more important. You need the hidden yards. You need the field position. You need the points.
Well, no, I agree with that. I've talked about that. I don't like talking about special teams, though, because it involves us talking about freaking kickers. It's Tuesday. I can't do it. I will say this. A lot of you are asking me whether or not this is a Cat 5 maintain. It feels a little inappropriate right now, admittedly. But I will a little bit. I'm not one of those easily offended. My sensibilities don't rankle, or the sight of too soon doesn't usually bother me. But I will say it's not the same. I don't usually call for a Cat 5 maintain for road game neutral site contests. You know what I mean? Because I think a game like this, you are tempted to get it on. I got you. If you're in the lot early, this the first game of the year and the magnitude of it not lost on you, you are in the mood to get it on. I got you. But who wants to not remember Florida State, Alabama?
Counter question. This game, if you lose it is not the end of the world. It's kind of a celebration of college football, and if you take care of business subsequent to this game, well, you play another one, and that one against Alabama would matter all the more. So perhaps you could look at this one as a fun experiment in college football. And a fun Saturday indeed to go with it.
Yeah.
Still no Maintain, though.
No, I don't think so.
And Maintain somehow has gotten warped. It's like, fake news at one point was Facebook publishing things that didn't
exist. It was actually fake news.
And now it's about mainstream.
Then it's applied to things that are true, and yeah.
It's been co-opted, but somehow Cat 5 has been turned into, hey, I can go drink my face off for this game. I think some people take it as that. Versus Cat 5 Maintain is actually about...
It means you would be tempted to because of the magnitude of the game and the enthusiasm, the excitement surrounding the game, whether that's here or anywhere else. I agree, but it means, no, don't do that. I mean, you got to fight to maintain. Maintain means maintain. You know what maintain means.
Right.
So you have to fight.
Not maintain a full beer in my hand from...
No, not maintain just a steady funneling of
7
booze.
a.m.
No, you got to maintain so we remember everything. Raymond writes, but he did knock out Brad Kaya's ass, talking about Matthew Thomas, and he used the perfect.
Did he? From Coming to America?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's so well done.
Joe Lewis.
Way to go, Dick Egan.
Yeah, well, he's great. Rock on, Pearl Jam. Happy fatherhood. But let me just say, I want you to have fun on Saturday. I think a lot of people are going to have fun on Saturday. Get a little loose. Not delirious, but a little loose. Let's just keep it together. I mean, it's cool to be at this game. I mean, I'm thinking about the people. I'm going as a member of the press and covering the game. And, yeah, the fandom will be there, but I'll have to keep it together. I'll be in the press box.
It's too bad it's not the 70s.
Right. But that said, that's a different kind of fun, man. But that said, well, I'm just thinking that to go to this game, you have to be committed to wanting to see this game. That should resonate with you because you're putting up with an awful lot of BS. Cost of tickets alone is insane.
Atlanta traffic,
no place to park. I mean, it's going to be a zoo.
Alabama fans.
Right. It's going to be a zoo in Atlanta, and that will be very, very difficult.
Yeah, good luck arriving on a Friday of Labor Day weekend into Atlanta with a bunch of Alabama fans.
Stop. I have to make this drive. You're going to be in the studio holding it down while I do. No, I don't talk to me about that.
I'll say, how's that traffic, Jeff? Can we get a traffic report for our fellow Knowles fans?
You sure can, Tom. I'm punching my own testicles in gridlock. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You can tell a lot about a tractor by its warranty. That's why Mahindra makes the toughest tractors on earth. With steel, not plastic. Backed by the industry's best limited powertrain warranty, period. Not 5 years, not 6 years, but a full 7 years on select models. No wonder the other guys are green with envy.
No money down, 0% interest, and no payments until July. Available at TNT Supercenter.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
And Mango Wit are now available in 6-pack cans. Follow Proof Brewing Company on Facebook or visit online at proofbrewingco.com for more info. Proof Brewing Company reminds you to please drink responsibly.
Football season is here, and it's time to score big and get in on the action with MyBookie.ag. MyBookie is an industry-leading website and the best place for you to cash in on all the insane last-minute drives, huge upsets, and heart-pounding finishes. Join now, and MyBookie will match your deposit with up to a 100% bonus. They have in-game live betting on nearly every sporting event, plus a user-friendly mobile site so you never miss a single play. Are you sick and tired of getting the runaround when you ask for a payout? Come join MyBookie today. With decades of expertise, no hassle payouts, and no fine print, you'll experience the greatest customer service in the business, guaranteed. Use promo code RADIO to activate your bonus of up to 100%. Call 844-900-2387 or visit mybookie.ag to open an account. That's 844-900-BETS, or go online to mybookie.ag and use promo code RADIO. Win with the best, only at MyBookie. Sign up today.
Wonder what the outrageously energizing experience of Mountain Dew Kickstart is like? Well, it's like a combo of 3 awesome things. Dew, juice, and caffeine, rebooting your entire personal operating system.
Mountain Dew Kickstart is in position for consumption. All systems cleared for launch. Initiate launch sequence. T-minus 3, 2, 1, mark. Release the Mountain Dew Kickstart. Mountain Dew Kickstart released. Experiencing a charge of Mountain Dew Kickstart now.
Mountain Dew Kickstart operation successful.
You are now off the couch and out exploring the world. Roger that.
Get charged up for what's coming next, anytime, anywhere, with Mountain Dew Kickstart. Available in 10 energizing flavors like mango lime, raspberry citrus, midnight grape, and orange citrus. Mountain Dew Kickstart. Fuel with flavor.
RCD Shell knows how to keep you cool and refreshed. All 20-ounce Pepsi and Mountain Dew products are 2 for $2.22. That's right, 2 for $2.22. And 28-ounce Gatorade is buy one, get one free. It's more fun with Pepsi and Dew, so bring on the bubbles with these cool prices at RCD Shell.
I'm Fred Conrad, and I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I believe your freedom is too important to trust to an inexperienced lawyer. For over 20 years, I've successfully defended those accused of DUI, drug offenses, and a host of other misdemeanor and felony offenses. My office is located in my hometown, and as a third-generation Tallahassee native, former local prosecutor and law enforcement instructor, I have the skills and experience necessary to handle your case. When you call my office, you will talk to me, and I'll personally handle your case. So don't blow it. Call me at 222-4005 or go to fredconrad.com.
You're locked in with the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. This may end up being kind of a crossover promotion here, but it's Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. This may end up being kind of a crossover promotion here, but it's basically the final half an hour, if you will, of the workday. So this is the perfect time for Beer 30. Let's do it up.
Count them up, pour them out.
I'll just have a cup of coffee.
There it is. It's Beer 30, brought to you by the 7th Hill Tap Room on Appalachia Parkway.
Tonight is Kick the Keg Tuesday, where you can enjoy $3 select drafts. You can also catch the warchant.com Man Cave Show, which I'm going to talk about in a moment again. They kind of cross over each other tonight. That's live, featuring yours truly at 7 o'clock. Tom's in it, too.
I am in it, too. I'm pretty happy to be doing that.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Yes, exactly right. And with the 14 self-serve taps at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, we're actually downstairs at the 7th Hill Tap Room. Forgive me.
Yeah.
Owned by similar folk. You might say the same folk.
The same folk, yes.
Great folk indeed. But at the 7th Hill Tap Room with 14 self-serve taps, you can now join the Cup Club. That is, for a $10 purchase, you get a green 7th Hill Tap Room cup, and you can save $1 off all drafts Monday through Wednesday from 7 p.m. to close, and all day on College Game Day Saturday. How fantastic is that? You can get all your money back in short order, friends. Just join the Cup Club today.
Yeah, by the way, thanks to our friends at the 7th Hill Tap Room, right underneath Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, where you can always find the newest and freshest Florida craft beer. That's a good thing. By the way, does the ACC get what it wants? Does it get Florida State, Miami at the end of the year? We were talking about today, we were going through the matchups of the season, and really the larger discussion is if Florida State, well, either way, Bama fans are doing it too. If Florida State loses this game, could they, with another loss, still get to the college football playoff? Which team is more likely to run the table if they lose this game, Florida State or Alabama? I think it's Alabama. Their schedule's easier. And would a two-loss team get in, and which two losses would you want? Which would benefit you? It sounds weird to say that, but who would the losses have to be to? One of them being Bama. Who would the other one have to be to? And I think the answer to that is Clemson in a close loss, and yet Clemson loses a couple games early in the season, so Florida State still is your Atlantic Division champion, and then wins the conference title.
Honestly, I think you need – okay, Clemson's got to beat Auburn, first and foremost, because you're assuming –
yeah, we get into all those things, yeah.
Because you're assuming a couple of ACC losses for Clemson in order to pave the way for Florida State at 7-1 in conference play.
Yeah, to overcome a loss at Clemson in the waning moments. If it happens, I'm not assuming that loss. I'm just trying to create scenarios by which a two-loss team would get in. And, of course, it is dependent on what happens in the Pac-12, what happens in the Big 12, what happens in the Big 10 and the SEC. You have to know those things.
Honestly, I think the team you're rooting for is Virginia Tech, and I'll tell you why.
To beat West Virginia this weekend? Or on Monday or Sunday, whatever that is?
Not just that. Virginia Tech's got to have a really, really good season. And I'm keeping an eye on them because Fuente is a sharp coach,
yeah.
And he's got a redshirt freshman that he's starting this year, which tells me that's someone he brought in himself.
But why does Virginia Tech have to have a good year?
Okay,
Let's hear this.
Virginia Tech has to have a good year if you're looking for Florida State and Miami to mean something two times.
Oh, so you need them to play again.
Then you need Miami and Virginia Tech in the regular season to be a big matchup, a feather in Miami's cap that allows the Canes to still retain a top 15 ranking by the time you would play Miami a second time in the ACC championship. You need the ACC title game, Florida State does, to be a matchup of top 15 teams in order to help its playoff case. If you're playing a coastal team that's outside the top 15,
yeah,
then
it
when
doesn't do much for you.
You're trying to compare resumes with two regular season losses, man, that game's got to mean something. And so for me, if you're talking about playing Miami in Charlotte, I know, throwing out a lot of locations in a lot of states and a lot of universities, you got to have somebody else in the coastal on Miami's ledger become a quality win so they can stay relevant in the polls themselves.
It's interesting. Schleybaugh brought up a series of predictions today for ESPN.com, and you can think whatever you want to think of Mark Schleybaugh, but he brought up this very thing about Florida State and Miami. When the ACC split into two divisions and added a conference championship game before the 2005 season, it wasn't a coincidence that the Noles and Hurricanes were placed on opposite sides. The ACC hoped that that FSU and Miami would return to their past glory, be on a collision course to the title game, or at the very least be in contention every year. FSU has held up their end of the bargain, playing in the ACC championship game 5 times, but Miami has yet to appear in the game's 12-year existence. That will change this coming season. FSU will end Clemson's 2-year reign in the Atlantic Division, and the Hurricanes will win the Coastal Division in Mark Richt's second season. The Noles will beat Miami for the 8th straight time to punch their college football ticket. No, that's wrong, Mark. It will be the 9th straight time if that happens, as Florida State will have already vanquished Miami on the 16th here in Tallahassee for their 8th consecutive victory. Then, in your scenario, play them for the ACC title and the 9th consecutive victory over Miami. But either way.
Now that you're talking about the actual scenario playing out, you had a couple seconds. Does what I say make sense?
I understand what you're saying. Miami has to be highly,
it has to be tougher. Or you could just say, how about Virginia Tech runs the table in the Coastal, and you
that
get
ain't
yourself,
happening.
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Coastal isn't exactly murderer's row over here, so Virginia Tech Miami would figure to be one of the premier games on that side of the conference.
Yeah, but do you think Virginia Tech wins all their other Coastal games? I don't think they're that place yet. They're not that good.
No, I agree, but I'm saying if you're looking for a scenario where the ACC championship game helps Florida State, a 2-loss Florida State team, enough to elevate them into the conversation, you got to have somebody who is a bona fide be playing in Charlotte against Florida State.
You know what the problem is? The problem is we're assuming a loss to Clemson, and in fairness, if Florida State loses to both Alabama and Clemson, they're not going. Because your wins are over Miami and Louisville and Florida and whatever.
So it would have to be a loss to, say, NC State or something like that?
Or Miami.
Well, no, we can't talk about that. That's not a scenario. That's not an acceptable scenario.
Well, how bizarre, right? So what if, and we're doing this, it's that time. This is what happens, and I'll shut up about this. What if Florida State loses to Bama in a close game, crestfallen as they are, come back, beat ULM soundly, kind of go through the motions, do what they have to do, win that game. Get upset at home, primetime, Miami ends the streak. They win that game. Florida State's 1-2, written off by the national media. Everybody's done with them. What a farce. What a overranked joke Florida State is. They don't lose another game. They pound NC State. They pound Wake and Duke and Louisville and BC and Syracuse, and they go on the road and they make a statement against Clemson, and they beat Delaware State, and then they vanquish Florida yet again, and they find their way into the ACC championship game where they avenge the earlier loss that year to Miami by beating the Canes. And then you might have a 2-loss Knoll team creep their way back into the playoff.
This sounds like a wonderful conversation to be had at the 7th Hill Tap Room while enjoying a Proof Creatures in the Dark. Hey, man.
I like it.
That's an Imperial Stout. That's what I'm talking about. You can enjoy that. Maybe an 850 Pale Ale. I don't know. But we could sit back and have a discussion about how a 2-loss team makes it to the playoff. Here's the easiest way.
How about we not lose 2 games?
That's the
easiest way. Thanks to the 7th Hill Tap Room, and we like the beer 30. We're glad you're on board. We'll continue momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 97 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
You put your mower through a lot. All that back and forth can add up to thousands of miles. That's like mowing cross country. Gravely commercial mowers are built for all-day performance, helping you get the job done mile after mile. Gravely, built to mow the distance.
Get your Gravely motor only at TNT Supercenter, your one-stop shop for work or play. 14585 Highway 19 South, Thomasville, Georgia. TNTSupercenter.com.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
It's paired with a charcuterie board or delicious small plates. Sometimes you just want a cold beer, and Fox & Stag has you covered too, with rotating drafts and bottles sure to quench your thirst. Come by for a drink and stay for the company, Tuesday through Saturday from 5 p.m. to 2 a.m. For catering or private parties, message Fox & Stag on Facebook.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-478-0834. 800-478-0834. 800-478-0834. That's 800-478-0834.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Charlie is all over the place. He's so unorganized. How do I get him to be more responsible with his academics? I've tried everything.
Hi, I'm Lance Davis. Let Engaged Academics help your child learn how to work through these common issues. Visit engagedacademics.org for more information. That's engagedacademics.org.
Your floors are under attack, from overwatered plants to overflowing dog bowls. But the Home Depot has water-resistant Pergo Outlast Plus laminate flooring, starting at just $279 a square foot. So you and your floors get to fight back with 24-hour spill protection that stands up to liquids for a whole day without damage. The next generation of laminate flooring is Pergo Outlast Plus, starting at just $279 a square foot, exclusively from the Home Depot. More saving, more doing. U.S. only.
College football programs know the importance of recruiting. If they want to compete at the highest level, they need to bring on the best talent, people who have the skills and drive to be a success. The same is true in business. Recruiting is vital. And with ZipRecruiter, you'll have a smarter and simpler way to assemble your own winning team. With just one click, you can post your job to over 100 job boards. Then ZipRecruiter's matching technology identifies relevant talent fast. 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site within 24 hours. And your ZipRecruiter dashboard helps keep everything in one place, so it's easy to review and rank the candidates with the best experience. You'll be building a powerhouse program in no time. Choose the smartest way to hire. ZipRecruiter, official hiring partner of the Florida State Seminoles.
For your free trial, go to ZipRecruiter.com/GoNoles. ZipRecruiter.com/GoNoles. Once again, for a free trial, go to ZipRecruiter.com/GoNoles.
Know what time it is? It's back to school time. You remember school, right? It's that place you go that's exciting, frustrating, fun, weird, and hopefully a safe place full of friends, because friends lift each other up. Want to throw someone at school a compliment? Well, Three Musketeers makes it easy to help you throw shine, not shade, with positive messages right on the packaging that tell somebody that they're one of a kind and that they're awesome. So, grab your friend a Three Musketeers bar with that light whipped up chocolate and give them a pickup at school right when they need it.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. The appeal hearing of the 6-game suspension of Cowboys running back Ezekiel Elliott taking place today. Elliott suspended for violating the personal conduct policy in an alleged domestic violence incident involving his ex-girlfriend. Cowboys owner Jerry Jones, again voicing his support for Elliott, told 105.3 The Fan the situation's complicated because the NFL has no evidence of any wrongdoing by Elliott. Colts Pro Bowl cornerback Vontae Davis is week to week with a significant groin injury. Ravens quarterback Joe Flacco's started throwing and is getting back into football activity. He hasn't practiced at training camp or played in a preseason game due to a back injury. The Ravens have repeatedly insisted Flacco will be ready for the season opener on September 10th against the Bengals. A tsunami of negativity from fans and media in the United States. One of the main reasons the CFL's Hamilton Tiger Cats reversed a decision to hire former Baylor football coach Art Briles, according to Hamilton's CEO. Briles was fired last year by Baylor after an investigation into allegations of sexual assault by students, including some football players.
It's official. Weekends are now reserved for football. So come watch it at B-Dubs with other fans who are all there for the same reason, to watch sports. In a place packed with roaring fans and a vast menu of food. It's built for fans. It's home for football. It's Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
Live from the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac Studios in the capital city of Tallahassee, this is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Lawn Maintenance Tuesday, presented by Miller's Tree Service. Call Miller's today at 894-TREE. That's 894-8733.
Wrapping it up, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. I say wrapping it up. It's because at 5 o'clock, which is coming up, Seminole Headlines begins. We look forward to it. Good times. I will say this. Later this evening, we're going to be doing the Man Cave show again. That's you and me this year, Tom.
That it is. Spoiler alert.
Fun.
Oh, looks good. It's going to be a fun time this year.
We'll have a good time. That's going to be at the 7th Hill Tap Room. And, by the way, our thanks to Proof Brewing Company, right? Cue it up if you want.
It's time for What's on Tap, brought to you by Proof Brewing Company. So, Jeff, what are we having today?
What am I having today? What are we doing today? The Man Cave show tonight?
Well.
Oh, man. I will say this before I kind of get into what we're going to do. Our thanks to Proof Brewing Company for coming on board to sponsor What's on Tap. And Proof Brewing Company, by the way, Also with for the Table Hospitality, present the 5th Annual Florida Tap Invitational, September 29th and 30th. One of North Florida's largest 2-day beer festivals. VIP and general admission tickets are available online at FloridaTapInvitational.com. That's a cool thing. New feature we're doing. Well, I'm going to partake in the tapping tonight of beers at the Man Cave show. Should be fun.
There it is. Probably a porter, I'd say. Last night I actually had a delicious Imperial Stout by Invisible. Yeah, Into the Dark.
Imperial Stout.
Yeah, it was very, very good.
Love a good Imperial Stout. So we'll have fun at Bama's expense tonight and just in general. And if you're in the area, stop by the 7th Hill Tap Room and say hello and be a part of that. I look forward to it.
And if you can go to the 7th Hill Tap Room, try the Ghost Totem.
Which is delicious.
Yes, that's right. Go to Proof Brewing Company, too. They actually have it at all times. They may or may not have it at 7th, but they definitely do at Proof.
Today's an interesting day. It's the final check mark for me, really, before football begins. I feel like we've had a lot of those markers. It's a given, but today was the day that I spoke at the Sunrise Rotary and had fun with that. So many supportive folks out there over the years that listen to this show and own businesses that actually support us as well, and it's always a fun talk. But then from there, did the War Chant Report and did some little headlines to boot. And obviously these last 2 hours doing this show. It's a busy day, but it's a good day because it's, again, kind of the kickoff of it all.
Yeah, how do you feel after doing the report? Because that's the most canned, objective look, when you're just talking about the blood and guts of it, especially the role that you play for the warchant.com report, where you're kind of pivoting to, fro, and then kind of weaving in and out with your opinion, but you have to lay a lot of things out there. So when you're laying it out there, the particulars of the game, how did that affect perhaps, I don't know, your confidence level?
Here's the deal. I still come back to picking Bama. And if that means, what does it mean, right? If I say 4.5 like I did yesterday, it's just south of 5, and 5 would be right down the middle. 5 would be could go either way, right? Wouldn't you say that's – or is this more a measure? Because, for example, against ULM, my confidence meter is 10. Against Miami this far out, my confidence meter is 9. Against NC State this far out, my confidence meter is 9. Against Wake Forest on the road, my confidence meter is 10.
The daily confidence level.
On the road at Duke, my confidence meter level is 10. Home to Louisville, my confidence meter measures at 7. Ooh, it is today.
Okay.
Well, there are a lot of games between now and then. We'll see.
The daily confidence level.
Against BC, it's a 9.5. Against Syracuse, it's a 10. Against Clemson, it's a 5. Against Delaware State, it's a 10. Against Florida, it's an 8.5. So that's all of the confidence levels in a given day, save for Bama. But for Bama, it's just under 5. I don't think I'm going to be able to creep towards 6.
The daily confidence level.
I think it's going to be 4.5 and remain at 4.5.
Oh, boy. Well, I mean, you would have never predicted that it would move to 4.5 last week. So
no, I think I had it like 2. What's funny about it, I will say this, when you do this, when you have to go in and really break things down. For example, this morning, very early, I don't say that for points. I don't say that for, brownie points. I'll honestly say that when I was looking at all the S&P stuff, looking at all the advanced metrics, going through and trying to figure out what Alabama is, what they have coming back. They got 11 players returning out of the 22 starters. I believe it's 6 on offense, 5 on defense. We know about the ends that are gone and Reuben Foster at linebacker and just general talent across the board. I think Alabama had maybe 11 people drafted. It's insane. What you do is you end up saying, well, they have to replace a lot of guys. On the offensive end, for example, O.J. Howard, Cam Robinson. They got to replace a lot of guys, a lot of talented guys, a lot of guys that are on NFL rosters that are anchors for their team now as something that you think you can depend on moving forward. Most teams can't do that. Most teams don't survive that kind of turnover without a real setback. But Alabama, and I know people will rip me and say, gosh, you talk about this team like they're the Dallas Cowboys or the Pittsburgh Steelers of the 70s or whatever. They are. It's not wrong. In a sport where you don't get to hold on to your players, where you can't sign somebody to a long-term deal, nobody's doing what Alabama's doing. Not Ohio State, not Florida State, not Clemson, not anybody. Nobody's doing what they're doing. They have warranted that praise. The drop-off you see from Alabama is fairly insignificant year in and year out, even after they lose a slew of people. I told you last year they were going to rely on a true freshman quarterback who's an average passer, and that they would come within seconds of winning the national championship in an undefeated season, and that the only way they would lose is because the other team ran 99 plays and or Scarborough got hurt. That's what I mean. It's ridiculous. I mean, any other organization, any other program loses that much. If you think what Florida State's going to lose on defense next year after this year's over, Derwin could go pro, probably guaranteed to go pro, top 10 pick. McFadden, likely to go. Noddy is gone. Sweat could go. You go through and you look at all that they could lose. Well, they're going to lose Matthew Thomas. They're going to lose Roderick Hoskins. They're going to. So if all of a sudden you do this, right?
Man, it's going to be tough losing Matthew Thomas. He plays every game, you know? He's just there every Saturday.
But I'm saying you lose starters all over the field on defense. Any other year you would go, ooh, that's a problem. But you don't do that with Bama. That's the difference. That's the thing. You just go, well, it's us in the 90s. Reloading. Oh, lost work done. We'll be all right. Just one after the other. And that's why there's seemingly maybe in your mind an over-the-top reverence. It's not that I sit around dreaming of Bama. I hope we kick the bejesus out of Alabama. I hope we catch them at just the right time and that we're starving to make a point and we go out there and beat their ass. That'd be great. But I think it's unreasonable to assume that's going to happen given the machine that Nick Saban's turned the program into and the amount of advantages that Alabama has in advanced scouting and all the extra coaches and the infrastructure we talk about ad nauseum, admittedly. So I keep coming back to it because every time when I'm doing a preview like I did today, I look at matchups where I go, okay, well, we could exploit that, or if we're able to do this. But I think back of all the teams, all the really good teams who were in a similar position playing Alabama who thought, well, if we could just do this, or if we could just do that, we got a real good shot. And people will constantly email me and say, well, Clemson beat them, and we nearly beat Clemson last year. Clemson won the national title. And the year before, Clemson almost beat him, Jeff. Why do you assume, given that we've played very well against Clemson each of the last 2 years while they had Deshaun Watson and they were at the height of their powers and they reached the college football championship game 2 years in a row and we had them beat 2 years in a row and one of those was on the road with Sean McGuire? Why can't we? We don't run 99 plays. We're not going to run the offense that Clemson runs. We're going to try to beat Alabama with a pro-style offense and in a deliberate approach. Now, it can be done, but it's not apples to apples.
I agree, and we don't run the same system as this gentleman runs, and I get you. So before we get started, I know that. But when Ohio State played Alabama a few years back in the college football playoff, and they came up empty in quite a few red zone possessions early on. We were watching that game in the bowels of the Rose Bowl, which was that's a pretty cool thing to say.
Yes, it is.
You thought, oh, man, you need 7, not 3.
Yeah, you got to do
screwed.
that. Yeah.
No, Zeke ends up running for 250 yards, whatever it is. But there was a physical element to what they brought to the table.
Big time.
And what I hope from hearing the way Jimbo talks about this particular team in camp is that we're willing to play that physical, mean style of football.
But what did you say? But what did you just say? They brought Zeke Elliott down your heart, up you know what.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, you're going to go ahead and think we do that with this offensive line? You trust Derek Kelly and what we saw a year ago, even if he's vastly improved, Alec Eberle, to line up and do that?
Well, I think our system is superior to Urban Meyer's in that we're better at generating open looks in the passing game.
Right, but that's not physical. That's not a taxing physical wear and tear approach to beating Alabama the way that Ohio State did.
But what I'm saying is in situations you have to bring that physicality. And, yeah, we'll see if we can in those key moments. But they're going against a defensive line that's asking them to do that every single day. So, I mean, if they were getting absolutely demolished to the point they couldn't even move the ball against the defense, and we were hearing those reports out of camps, yeah, I might be a little nervous. but they're at least seeing some kind of test akin to what they're going to be seeing in Game 1.
Well, I agree that the offense just needs to be the offensive line doesn't have to be great. But I don't know that we can line up. You're citing the Ohio State example of offense. I don't see our physicality in that way. I don't think so. I think that because I don't think Jacques Patrick is going to have a big day. We would have to be creating a push off the ball and dominating the line of scrimmage for that to happen. If they do it, we're going to win the national championship. If that exists and we're capable of doing that, then I love everything else because I love our defense and I like our quarterback a lot, and I think our receivers are going to emerge and Izzo's good and we got a loaded backfield. If you're telling me this offensive line, first game out the chute, is going to be a vastly different line than we saw a year ago, buddy, I'm dancing in the street.
Well, if it can be in spurts, it doesn't have to be for 80% of the game. If they can just control their fair share of key situations, as Jimbo says, then all of a sudden we're talking here. You know, you don't have to win all the battles. You just have to win your fair share of the battles and let your defense do what we hope that it's capable of doing.
Yeah. I don't know, man.
I'd just rather talk about the ways we need to play to beat Alabama than to talk about Alabama's greatness all the damn time, you know?
Well, I get it. I'm just not going to put my head in the sand, though, and act like something we haven't been able to do is suddenly something we're going to do against the best defensive line we're going to face all year long.
Is it?
Oh,
I disagree.
Well, we'll find out. But they've had one of the best rush defenses in the country for 15 years running, so I don't see it going away.
Given their lack of experience, we're going to be seeing a lot of defensive lines that bring experience and skill to the table. If we were scheduled to play them in November, I totally agree with you. But this is their first game.
So that's where we get into the debate of whether or not it's an advantage to play Alabama in the first game or to play them later. And I can see arguments for both. Because on the one hand, yes, they're having to replace both ends. They're replacing a star linebacker.
Placing a zero tech.
Yeah. They always have one of those, though. And every time you think, well, there goes Mount Cody, and then the next guy comes in, they replace him, it's not a problem. So I'm making assumptions based on the past. It's not necessarily the present, but I think it's a safe theory. I think it's to project that Alabama probably has some talent waiting in the wings to fill that zero technique that they dominated so often is a safe one because they've done it time and time and time again. And I guess what I'm saying is if you're right, we don't have to win every battle. But if you're trusting that the physical part of what we're going to do on offense is because you cited Ezekiel Elliott and Ohio State doing it on offense, I don't think we'll do that. They also had a really physical quarterback running the football. DeAndre's not a big guy. And I'm not sure Jacques Patrick's going to be running downhill on Alabama because it's less about maybe Alabama's domination, which gets annoying to hear, and maybe it's a lack of trust that I have in, say, Alec Eberle and Derek Kelly.
And the way we call plays. Yeah, I hear you there.
I just don't see that. Maybe it happens.
Well, what I'm saying, and you could say it's self-evident, Tom, you're arguing that the things that we need to do, we haven't shown a propensity to do in the past.
Right.
And Alabama has shown a propensity to counter in spades in the past. I hear you. I think it just grows frustrating that we get on week 6 of previewing this game and all we talk about is the greatness of Alabama. What do we got to do? And maybe we got to play outside ourselves. But at the same time, again, they're not returning a hell of a lot of experience. This isn't a Michigan-type defense that we face in the Orange Bowl where you have skill. They're all going to go in the draft. Plus the fact that they've all played 3 or 4 years at this level. You're at least getting a couple of kids that are going to be, under the spotlight for the first time. And we've got an offensive line that if they don't do it this first month of the season, then we know who they are. But we're hoping that there's development there. I mean, if we decided that after the Notre Dame game, the first half of the Notre Dame bowl game, that our offensive line wasn't going to work out, well, we would have shorted ourselves the best offensive line we had under Jimbo Fisher. So hopefully there's progression here.
Without question. I think that if we're just going to talk about the train keeping rolling, right? I mean, good Lord, that team last year had the best rushing attack in the country, went 14-1, seconds from winning the national title, and they did it all with a true freshman quarterback. They come back now this year, I would say projected to go, 11-1? If you're using, again, S&P, which you don't have to, but I'm saying if you go through it, they might – it's either 11-1 or 12-0. You're not seeing too many 10-2s. And the only reason that exists is because of the years upon years of quality recruiting. So the assumptions we're making about them are safer assumptions than the assumptions that I would need to make about us. And that's what's aggravating. That's why there's a source of aggravation there, because it seems almost unfair. It makes you angry.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah.
And the thing about the freshman quarterback, I don't really put as much stock into, because you had a brainiac of an offensive coordinator who knew how to work with what he had. And secondly, if you look at the quarterbacks that they won titles with those first few years, I mean, you could put a freshman in there. What difference does it make? Those guys weren't making the difference. The McElroys and McCarrons of the world weren't the reason that they were winning national titles. It was because of their offensive line anyway. It's the Dallas Cowboys theory. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you have road graders, by and large, over the course of 10 years.
In a really deep backfield. They have a running game, and they'll have it again this year.
Ingram and Richardson.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
you could put a true freshman back there for most of those title teams, and I'm sure they would have won the national title.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I mean, some of those guys, their experience helped them. They weren't great quarterbacks, but
My other point, though, is you tied in with what Lane Kiffin did, which, I mean, listen, you don't have to like him, but he knew that they were deficient. And he said, well, this is how we're going to make the most of what we have. That's good coaching. And they also lost him. They're bringing somebody in who wants to bring pro-style concepts or New England spread-style concepts, and we'll see if this kid can run that offense.
yeah, I agree, though, with the points we made earlier this week, in that they won't employ all of that for this game because they're going to run him. They should. They ran him over 12 times a game last year. I don't think they abandoned that. Horizontally is the way they attacked last year. They'll do less of that. I do think they'll challenge you more vertically. That's good for us because I think our secondary is a real strength.
But it's weird that, as we're thinking about it, you're talking about horizontally challenging and with the speed of a quarterback. That tells me you got to win first down because then if they bring tempo into the mix, then we're right back where we started. It doesn't matter what the talking points are. We're right where we've always been against these types of defenses or offenses.
Yeah. Are
we fast enough? Do we get our sets in? Do we know where to be, when
get the
to be?
plays in on time.
Right.
I mean, do you get the plays in on time? That's the biggest thing. I feel like just talking about this from the perspective of that I'm picking Alabama, that people then assume I don't think Florida State can win. I do think Florida State can win, and it wouldn't even be all that shocking. So let me reiterate that. They could win, and it wouldn't be stunning. I'm just not picking them to because you have to show me. Can we get plays in on time? Can guys get lined up? I'm not giving Coach Kelly the benefit of the doubt right now. If that angers somebody, so be it. I'm not. He's showing me too many times that he can't get them to understand whatever it is he already understands, the ability to convey and get them to implement and act and execute. There has been a disconnect. And for whatever reason, maybe the 7 out of 8 at the end of the year with the defense playing a lot better and simplification and the return of Derwin changes all that. And let me tell you something. In the first quarter, if I see that, I wish you could take my confidence indicator then, because that's a big part of why I'm picking Bama, is their ability to take advantage of those problems that we've shown in the past. And maybe that's remedied. And if it is, well, damn it, man, it could very well be different. And if we're going to win it, it's going to be because our defense is able to match their physicality, and they're going to take away that short stuff. And Derwin's going to have a huge game, which I think he will. And all of a sudden, it's a low-scoring 17-17 type game going into the fourth quarter. Florida State could win that. Yes. If that defense, which I again think has a chance to be dominant, is going to give up a bunch of points to Bama, then we're going to lose because of what it says to reach that point already, to give up all those points, unless it's a worn-out team.
Sure. Maybe we just need to tell Alabama that all their goals are still in front of them and they're likely going back to the playoff anyway, whether or not they win this game.
Right.
Because maybe then they can approach it like the Oklahoma game when they played in the Sugar Bowl or when they played Utah way back when.
And just didn't care.
And they just didn't care because you know what? They're not playing for all the marbles. Because this isn't for all the marbles, Alabama. You know what? This game really doesn't matter at all. You could lose this game by 20, and if you take care of everything between Game 2 and the Auburn game and the Iron Bowl, well, you're going to be SEC champions and go back to the playoff. So you know what? Screw this game.
I like it, Tom. Send it on down the line. Call out to whomever you know at Tuscaloosa and pass on the message that it's just not that important. It's a bigger feather in the cap of Florida State to win this game. And besides, Alabama, if you take care of business, you get a rematch with us later in the year. Hey, more money for everybody involved. All right, Seminole Headlines is forthcoming. Good work out of you, Tom. I'll see you in mere moments. And same for you, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody.